Welcome everybody to the Gut Hormone Mood Group Live with myself, Kylie Terhune, and Sophie. And we're excited today. We're going to talk about stress because Sophie, it's what's on our mind.
It is. We have a lot of stress this week, so we thought we'd give you guys some support around how to support stress because it's always going to be there. It's always going to come up.
I don't know about you, Sophie, but I've had times in my life way before I understood health and how stress affects my body where I just let stress run its course and I was like debilitated and I let it get to a place where I was not supporting my body. And to me, knowing what I know now, my whole goal is like, I need to be able to function. You can't control all the stress in your life, but what you can control is the support that you give your body. And so my goal is to give my body the tools and resources in order to kind of like handle life and not completely collapse or go into adrenal fatigue or all of these different things based on stressors that we cannot control.
So, I think you're right. It's like we're all going to be exposed to stress, either chronic or acute, and it's about finding ways to not let it completely knock you out so that you can still function and show up. And maybe you're not fully at full function, but you're still available for functioning because Kylie and I have both been through adrenal fatigue, and it's really hard to get out of once you're in there. So we want to help people to not get to that place.
Yeah. So here are a couple reasons, and I'm just going to go over this because we can't say this enough, because everybody in America thinks that drinking 10 Starbucks drinks a day and being go, and trying to accomplish all the things is okay, and that living this chronic level of stress is like just part of life. And what we want to tell you is that when you're living in fight or flight, it's very, very damaging to your body. And so here, I'm just going to go through a list of ways that stress negatively impacts your body with of course, coming from me, a specific focus on the gut. So first of all, stress impacts the gut-brain axis communication. So when we were just talking about adrenal fatigue, what happens is that there's this feedback loop. Your brain perceives stress. It doesn't even have to be real stress, just how you think about the situation. And it responds the exact same way as if it's a life-threatening situation. So it could just be your perceived annoyance from your boss or somebody irritated you, or it could actually be like I'm slamming on the brakes in my car and I'm in an emergent situation. Your body releases the same chemical signals. So your brain perceives stress, your body releases signals, it sends into the adrenals, your adrenal release certain hormones and chemicals. And there's usually a feedback loop that then says, okay, I'm safe, the danger's gone, I'm going to shut this off. But what happens is when we have this chronic low-grade stress all day, every day, and it's just a constant thing, and it's turning this fight or flight on over and over and over and over again, that feedback loop then stops. And that stress response continues and it doesn't shut down. And this can lead to IBS, IBD. It's directly contributing to things like GERD and acid reflux. This type of stress response alters your motility. So whether it's short-term, long-term, chronic, whatever, if you are under stress and you may be experiencing diarrhea, you may be experiencing constipation, depending on how you're responding to it, but it could definitely alter your motility. It increases your gut permeability. So if you already have some stuff going on or your diet is not on point, and then you increase your gut permeability, what's going to happen? It's going to cause more inflammation, more immune system stimulation, all these different problems. So then stress also can deplete your nutrient stores, because what your body does basically in order to respond to stuff is pull from the nutrients. So I want you to think about it this way. Moving takes certain processes in the body, right? Thinking takes certain chemical reactions to happen. All of these little biochemical processes that we need in order to function, to blink, to breathe, to sleep, to have energy, to do all these things, they take nutrients. So there's like this base level your body needs every day, right? And then there is what your body needs under stress, and it's a lot bigger. And so what happens is anytime you're under stress, your body starts pulling from these nutrient stores, leading directly to some nutrient deficiency or potential nutrient deficiencies, or just general nutrient need increases. But then you also have this damage to the gut lining because of this and everything that's happening, then your gut lining also plays a big, and digestion also plays a big role in your ability to even absorb the nutrients. So it's kind of all connected there. Stress then also negatively impacts the balance of your good and bad bacteria, which of course then directly impacts mood. And then you have this negative feedback cycle where you're perceiving stress, you're contributing to an imbalance in your gut flora, which directly contributes to balancing neurotransmitters. This system gets off, and therefore it feeds back into this negative emotional cycle. And then, of course, we all know that stress triggers tension, right? So in our body, and then this can trigger headaches and all those sorts of things. And then if that's not enough, I don't know. So, and then of course it can contribute.
Well, and
your hormone,
and it will shut down your period. If your body thinks it's, if your body thinks that it's not a safe place to create a baby, which unfortunately or unfortunately, depending on what your fertility goals are, your body every single month, if you're a cycling female, is set up to get you pregnant. So if you're under stress, your body's like, hey, it's not safe to reproduce. And it's not going to happen. Your brain is not going to communicate with your ovaries. And then you're not even going to get the helpful hormones that give you a mood boost. Like estrogen can give you a huge mood boost, to really give you a good serotonin hit. And you might not ovulate, which would then potentially make you estrogen dominant, which can make you a crazy PMS lady and have none of the calming progesterone, because again, your body never released an egg, because why would it release an egg into a place where it thinks the baby will not survive? Right. So you have to understand that your body, whether it be, like she was saying earlier, an email from your boss, or you're running from a rabid dog, it's the same perception in your body. And so on the outside, we think, oh, I'm just being short with somebody, or maybe I can't breathe very well, or oh, my neck hurts. But internally, all of these different processes are happening, and it's what we call, as FDNs, a catabolic state. It's a breakdown state. Your body is breaking down because of the stress.
Yeah, and it ends up being this negative cycle too, because it's like, okay, we're snippy or we're moody or whatever, and that, there's all these stressors that play into this process, and then because we don't have specific nutrients, because we're depleting them through this process, it makes us more moody and snippy and irritable, and and so like your period, even if you don't miss it, so if you're under extreme stress for a long period of time, your cycle will probably be tremendously impacted. And the first signs of that isn't going to be a missed cycle. It's going to be a really painful cycle. You're going to start having more tension. You're going to have more cramping. You're going to have more inflammation. You're going to have, balloon boobs, all these kinds of things. And it's going to hurt. And then eventually, if it goes on too long, and you're going a lot of experiencing a lot of stress, there's a potential to even just skip it. I remember when in 2016, I was an idiot and I did a physique competition, and I was like working out twice a day, and I was cutting my fat and carbs and all this kind of garbage. And I missed my period for like 82 days. And
you tell that story all the time, and I still can't believe it, because like the Kylie I know is like would never cut her carbs and fat.
No,
actually. That's a really good point. We need carbs.
Let me just say something really quickly. I'm 2 pounds heavier today than I was for that physique competition.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you're a hell of a lot healthier.
Yeah, I'm happy, and I'm not super cranky because I'm carb deprived. Okay.
Yeah.
Periods are much better.
That's a side note that I just really want to put in there, since you did bring it up. Someone messaged me about missing their period last night, and I was like, are you eating carbs? And she's like, do vegetables count? And I'm like, all vegetables have carbohydrates, but the quantity, you might need more. So especially if you're really highly active, things like quinoa, rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, all of that is a carb that your body.
Peas and grapes are actually fairly high as well.
And your body needs that. Okay. If you're a female, which you are, if you're in this group, probably, you need carbohydrates to have a normal menstrual cycle.
And a good mood.
Please don't skip them. Don't skip them. That's my PSA.
There's two things we want to talk about. Sophie and I have limited time today, so we're going to make sure that we give you action items, because that's what we like to do. So let's first talk about what we can do physically, because what the goal is basically to get out of fight or flight and into rest and digest. So there's a lot of things that we can actually do, or we can practice in order to help us here. And then maybe we can also talk about some of the nutrient needs. When you, like for my situation, there is literally no way for me to control the stress, like, or have like control over the stressor per se. And so what I need to do at that point is react intelligently to how I support my body. And so maybe it's incorporating some of these physical things, and maybe it's incorporating some of the nutrition supplementation. So we can talk about that a little bit. So let's talk about getting your body, like what are some ways that you can, yeah, it's my poop.
I don't have my, see, I left my pink poop at home today. So
let's talk about, if you have a pillow, one of the things you can do to release stress is like hit it really hard now. But let's stop there for a second, because nobody really talks about that. Like there are situations in life where like you have to get the emotion out.
Yeah.
You cannot, like, I'm going to be really honest. Like I am not somebody that likes to cry. Okay. I know that there are some people that are totally okay with it, but there are many times where I'm like, don't just like hold it in. But you cannot do that if you are under a lot of stress and you need to release that emotion. And if you have to go scream into a pillow or cry into a pillow or, take something off and beat the crap out of it, that's
do it.
And it's really important, because what is so insane that is hard to believe almost is that trapped emotions can get trapped in your body. And we actually can connect that in many instances to people that experience disease because they have not actually dealt with or processed fully things that they have experienced. And so it's really like that is actually legitimate. Like I'm joking, like go ahead, but it's true. Like that's actually a really beneficial thing to do. Okay, but if we're in that super stress state and we've released our emotions, we've yelled, we've screamed, we've cried, whatever. Maybe you're in a situation where your heart rate is elevated, specifically like you feel like the fight or flight is coming on, or something just happened and like, whoa, you need to calm down. What are some tools, Sophie, that you like? I have a couple fairly, I use ones, but yeah, go ahead. Share what you like, and I'll share what I like.
Okay, so this particular week, I was dealing with some stress that really took me out, and I needed a combination of things. I couldn't catch my breath, and that's a problem. So what I did was I got myself I have CBD, and I actually got myself some CBD to rebalance my entire system so that then I could do some of the deep breathing exercises. And one of them, one of our Empower Her ladies is also my personal trainer, and she taught me this breathing exercise that I love, which is what, instead of trying to breathe through your nose, which when you're stressed, you might not be able to do.
When you're crying,
you can actually
totally stop up.
Yeah. You're stopped up. Yeah.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of different breathing exercises, but this one in particular really helped me. I laid on my back so I could feel my back on the ground, and I breathed through my mouth like it was a straw, like and that for some reason with my body really helped me to breathe from my belly instead of from my chest, which is what we do when we're really stressed, right? We're like that. So to kind of calm that whole system down, I was breathing through my mouth as if it was a straw, and then I was breathing out as if I was trying to fog up a glass. So breathing in, and that really helped me drop in. So those two things are great. And there's a lot of other ones like Epsom salt baths. But if I'm in that moment and I can't get a grip on it, I try to breathe essential oils. There's a parasympathetic blend from Vibrant Blue Oils you can rub on the back of your ears, and that helps you to drop into parasympathetic. And then there's obviously the supplements we can talk about in a second. But so if I'm in an acute state like that, that's probably what I'm going to do. Plus turn my phone off. Those are like.
Yeah. So if you can breathe, you can actually do alternate nostril breathing. This is a fairly new one. My friend recommended it recently, and I was like, okay, let me try it. So what you do is you put down, there we go. You put down your second and third finger. And I guess if that's uncomfortable, you can do it another way, but that's what they say is like put your second and third finger down. And then basically you take your fourth finger and your thumb, And so what you're going to do is you're going to plug one side of your nose and breathe in. And every time you breathe in, you plug that and you breathe out the next side. And then you breathe in that side plug, out, in, plug. So every time you breathe in, you plug and you switch sides. And you breathe out, you breathe in, plug, switch sides.
I love that one.
So that's definitely.
I never think to do that one. I don't know why.
So that's it for, like, if you're, you know, so a lot of these things, here's the thing. If you feel like you're more in chronic stress and not acute situations, breathing techniques can be useful for both. So if you are hyperventilating and you have the ability to breathe through your nose, breathe in, hold it, breathe out, you can actually slow down your heart rate by doing that. Or if you can't breathe through your nose, maybe you do the straw technique that Sophie just said. But either way, these are things that either in an acute situation can calm down the response and slow your heart rate down and get you back into a place of control, or as almost like maintenance and prevention if you feel like you're in sort of like low-grade chronic stress, or you just want to make sure that you're switching into this rest and digest parasympathetic mode every day. You can just practice it for 5 to 10 minutes or whenever, you know, in your office, in your bedroom, when you wake up, when you go to bed, whatever it is. But these are things that are completely doable, free, anybody can access it. So I think
absolutely. I mean, I do breathing exercises every morning, you know, when I wake up, because I actually find that I'm most stressed first thing in the morning. So, you know, you can do these anytime.
You got the whole day.
Do you want to talk about some things you do for nutrients or like longer term stress?
Yeah. So one of the things, not a nutrient, but one of the things I've been doing every single day this week is using my infrared sauna. So I know that not everybody has access to this, so don't freak out. We're going to give you other tips. But one of the benefits to an infrared sauna is that, like, one of the ways that it works is by putting your body in rest and digest, which is pretty cool. And then you're also getting the benefits of all the light, the multiple spectrums of light. I have a full spectrum infrared, so I'm getting near, mid, and far infrared. And then you also get the detoxification also. So there's just many, many levels. But that, I think, has really, especially if you're feeling depleted, it's almost like, let me go get my battery charged. And so that's a really great tool.
Yeah.
Also meditation. I've been trying to do like a 10-minute meditation in the morning, and I posted this one in our group. I like guided meditation. I'm a little too ADD, or just not disciplined enough, whatever. But I love guided meditations. And I started liking the concept of light visualization when I was dealing with cancer, because it was like, let's visualize the light, like busting this tumor. Let's visualize the body healing. And I love that. And so I've been doing like a 10-minute light meditation as well. So supplementation.
I do that too. I love it. Yeah, I do about 10 to 20 minutes of meditation every day, but I'm like you, I need it to be guided. So I like, Deepak Chopra or Insight Timer or any, you know, there's a lot of great meditations out there for free.
And, just real quickly as well, if you are going through a lot of stress, it might be a little bit more difficult for you to fall asleep at night. So if I feel like I need a little support in that area, there's an app called Sleep, I think is what it's called. Slumber, Slumber, close. It's called Slumber. And they have stories. And so what you can do is you put the story on, they're 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45, whatever. And it's just a real comforting thing, and it'll distract your brain enough if you're listening to it, or give you enough comfort as you fall asleep that you're not constantly like focusing on what you don't want to focus on.
Yeah, so, that's a great one too. I Am is like a daily affirmations app, and they have a section in there that's like affirmations for sleep. And I found that really helpful too, because I'm like, at night when I try to fall asleep, all I do is I think about you guys. I think about all the women I'm serving. I'm like, oh, I forgot to send this to that person, or what about this for that person? And so it helps when I can see affirmations like, hey, you've done everything you need to do today, or like whatever it is. So hopefully those two ideas help you depending on where you are with sleep and stress.
Yeah, I think they're incredible tools. Okay, so supplementation, the number one I think I would say is magnesium, because energy, sleep, and stress response kind of all at the same time are going to be impacted, and bowel movements and all this kind of stuff are all going to be impacted by magnesium. And magnesium is, so different nutrients play different roles in the body, but magnesium plays a role in like pretty much every function of the body. I mean, it's in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of processes. And so it's just one of those where we constantly need it. And some people, with supplements might feel like, oh no, I don't want to like overdose or whatever. But here's the thing, like if it's a water soluble supplement, if you reach body saturation, then your body will pee it out. So magnesium is one of those that you don't have to worry about overdosing. What you do want to do is increase it until you feel the desired result, whether that be muscle relaxation, or if you're using it for constipation, or if you're using a certain form to help you sleep and things like that. So that is definitely one. Long-term support, I've actually been using adrenal cortex fractions from Integrative Therapeutics. I actually really like these. My Dutch test, pretty much every single one I've ever taken, always shows that I have extremely low cortisol output. So that is just something that can maybe support
that would
me a little bit.
Be something if you're working with us and you got a Dutch test and you see like what your cortisol is, that might be a really good supplement for you.
Yeah, because maybe don't just jump on that, because if your cortisol levels are really high and your adrenals are functioning, the way they should be and all this kind of stuff, maybe that's not the right supplement for you. But for me, I know that I can use it.
I just want to add a little hormone note here that I see so often is, just so you know, it's been shown that in the luteal phase, the second half of your cycle before you get your period, magnesium serum drops. So you're in this place where like that magnesium is one of the things that helps you to combat stress, yet it's lower during the time that you're probably feeling the most stress because of that PMS week. So you can actually like increase magnesium too in the second half of your cycle leading up to your period or even during PMS. B6 and magnesium specifically really help with like period related PMS and stress, but B vitamins in general are a really big thing for stress, which I'm sure Kylie was about to get to because I know she's a vitamin queen and she knows all the things.
B vitamins are interesting because it's like you need them, but then also like you don't want them to contribute to anxiety or sleep issues.
Yeah, you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of have to play with that. Like if you're maybe on the level of stress, like if you're in acute stress and you're hyped up, maybe don't take the B vitamins. And also maybe avoid coffee because you can run on your own stress response at that point, and you don't need to stress your body out more by continuing to trigger that cycle. But if you're in the super depleted, like I'm completely exhausted and I'm leaning towards depression and all this kind of stuff, then B vitamins might be really supportive. Although just don't take them before bed because you don't want to mess with your sleep. You want to make sure, that's another thing with stress is you really want to like be obsessed with sleep when you're undergoing emotional stress. Like you've got to give your body that time to rest. And if you have an Aura ring, it will tell you what a good or bad job you're doing, because it will tell you like what your heart rate variability is while you sleep, if your heart rate has been elevated while you sleep, how much you got into deep sleep. It's a pretty cool tool.
I know. my Garmin, which is significantly cheaper than an Aura ring if you can afford Aura, is like a body battery too. And earlier this week when I was dealing with my situation I was dealing with, my body battery was like at a 20 out of 100. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I know. I just had to take time off. I had to take kind of these half days.
Well, and one of the great things to do to be able to look at that is to have a tool like that where you can say, okay, whether or not I feel it, my body is depleted. My thing told me my heart rate's off, this all kind, and it'll give you like a readiness score. An Aura ring gives you like a readiness score. If your readiness score is really low, guess what that tells you? Sleep more and don't work out.
Don't work out, yeah.
And maybe nourish yourself a little bit more and go to bed early that day. And then if your readiness score is really, really high, then you can base it on how you feel. Do I feel like I have the energy to work out today? But that's just a way that you can personalize, your activity level, even based on the amount of stress. Because some people are like, well, stress is the way, or working out is the way that I deal with stress or whatever. But you got to realize that it is a stressor. And if your body is already at a high level of stress and you exercise too much, it's going to continue the stress cycle in a negative way instead of helping you cope with it. So if you are feeling that way, then maybe switch to something that's actually restorative, like deep breathing, yoga, meditation, Pilates, walking, that sort of thing. Give your body the break, and then you can start moving. All right, I know that we have to get off here in just a couple minutes. Was there anything else that you wanted to say about nutrients or stress?
Yeah, there is. I know that there's a big one that you love to talk about, so I wanted to remind you. Vitamin C for stress is a big one. Your adrenals literally need vitamin C like crazy all the time, but when you're stressed especially. And I know Kylene has one particular brand she really loves for vitamin C.
Yeah, it's called Vitality C, and it's a powder. And the reason I like it is because it's in a form that is easy on your digestive tract, and also 1 scoop is 4 grams. So we do not, as humans, create our own vitamin C. A lot of other mammals do, and so they can create it when they're under stress, but we don't. So we have to get it through our food or through supplementation. And so when we're under stress, we can increase our amount of vitamin C. And so Vitality C is nice because, like I said, it's easy on the gut, and you can get a higher dose as well. Thank you.
Cool.
Helping me remember.
Yeah. So just to recap, we first started with talking about how stress is part of life, but we don't have to let it be our whole lives, and we don't have to let it completely take us out or debilitate us. And speaking, we're not going to share like all of our personal stuff, but like we're both dealing with some really like rough things. Like we're not just talking about like regular work stuff, which can be stressful in and of itself. So, like we've been through a lot with our health. So we really understand how hard it can be sometimes for us to shift, our understanding of what's the stimuli that's coming at us. But we have to also recognize and take responsibility to a certain extent of like, something is happening and then we are responding to it. Yeah. So like long term, if you're getting these types of supports and these types of nutrients, hopefully then your body can also have enough of a push to be able to retrain itself to calm down as well. That's like longer term probably, but in the short term, we can do our deep breathing. We can, recognize how stress depletes our nutrients and how it affects our periods and our gut health. And so we can boost ourselves with magnesium and vitamin C and B vitamins. Get your cortisol tested. If you feel really, really depleted all the time, it might be that, like Kylene, your cortisol is just tanked and that it needs some support, like with the Integrative Therapeutics adrenal cortex. There's healthy tech tools. If you have the extra cash and you want to get a Garmin or an Oura ring to kind of track yourself day to day. And there's always the ability to reach out to people. So if you're struggling with something, like message us, put it into the group. I think that's the only other thing I would add is I felt like a lot of what I was going through this week, I had to deal with on my own, and we just gave you a bunch of tools of how to do that. But don't be afraid to lean on, people that love you and care about you, even if it's in this group or, one of us one-on-one. And I think that that's a big thing to hopefully help support like stress holistically.
Yeah. Preach. All right. Let us know what questions you have. Any particular topics that you would like us to cover next week. We go live in this group every Friday at 1:30 Eastern time. So we hope that you'll join us live next week and have a great weekend. Have a great Valentine's Day weekend. So, all right. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
See ya.